Hey, you've got Michelle Clarke and Jacqui O'Connor here. We are galactically connected, and chances are you are as well. Now, we have struggled all our lives with feeling alone and weird, but we know that we're not. Some people still call us that. Totally fine with that. We want to help you to see that you potentially are galactically connected as well, and we kind of want to lock everything into place for you. So today we're going to talk about social situations. We're calling ourselves aliens, and we're totally fine with that. Aliens have, and people that aren't galactically connected, we call them normies, just so you understand our lingo. It's all a bit take, right? Because you could take, and this is serious for us, like this is actually our life, but there's no need to be so heavy and, about everything. So galactic beings in social situations are very, very awkward because we can't cope with small talk and with waffling on, or with, we just really struggle with it because our brains work so fast. If you're a galactic being, you are extremely intelligent. I bet you have, you can wipe the floor with everyone else intelligent-wise, right? The last time I counted my qualifications, I think it was about 10. It's ridiculous. You can do things so fast, it's not even funny. And the other day I sent Jacqui a meme that was said, I've just found out it's rude to touch people's forehead and go, skip intro. Because that's kind of it's we don't want the intro, we want to get to the meat. How do you feel? How are you finding this energy? We want to have big, awesome conversations because galactic beings are here to make big changes in the world. And that's different for everyone. But what we're finding is that as we gather our soul family to us, so we're gathering other galactic beings that are a part of our soul family that are here to change institutions and systems, and we're here to help the world be, do, and feel better. So anyone that kind of fits into that purpose we've found is from our soul family.
I think for me, social situations I would walk into a room, and same happens now, but at the time I didn't realise it because it was never modelled to me or talked about. I actually thought everyone was deaf because I would walk into a room and I would know how everyone felt, what the dynamics were, what was happening in the entire room. And I've got two daughters and they experience the same thing. So you'll find that if you have these experiences, your offspring do too. And more, it's becoming more evident. A lot of us have got many layers where we've kind of adapted techniques to get through it, whereas our young people aren't. They're not prepared to tolerate that, so they're actually showing up being quite antisocial or challenged with social, not wanting to go places, and we can't quite understand it because we were made to go places, and now all of a sudden we can't make these kids to go places, but they don't want to go because the energies are so intense. And again, what Michelle said, they really want meaningful conversations. And I totally get that. I'm just when someone says, how are you? I'm like, well, that's quite a loaded question. Physically, I'm well. Mentally, I'm quite stretched. And spiritually very guided. Thank you. I don't want to say good. I don't want to say good. It just doesn't feel meaningful enough for me. And that's, again, with social situations, but even going into a classroom, where there's 30 students and a teacher and the windows are closed or assemblies, where there's lots of energy. And, you might have someone in there who's, I don't know, lost a grandparent or, so they're experiencing sadness and you feel it. We feel it.
You can literally feel every single person in the room, you can feel their energy. So of course it's so overwhelming. So you might feel high vibe while you're in there because you're connecting to everything, and then you go high and when you're exhausted, you've got to sleep for a week. And it's just not sustainable. As a galactic being, you've got to learn to manage the situations that you go to, or at least consider, where you're going, shield your energy and think about the situations that you do and don't want to be in. And it's down to individual people as well. If you hang out with a person and you're wiped out for the afternoon, it's really important to know.
And it's interesting because some people, it's seasons and reasons, right? You think, gosh, I've been friends with this person for 20 years and I've always just felt so great with them. And then all of a sudden you're like, Wow. And this is the thing, we do have different evolvement and different growth. So, but that's cool. It's totally cool. You just kind of go, hey, we'll bump into you again sometime.
Yeah, nice. Other social things for galactic beings. Sometimes you get a really strong instant attraction or feeling, like sometimes I sort of notice that a certain person is glowing almost, and I kind of can't stop looking at them. Generally, it's because they're a part of my soul family and I'm meant to connect with them. Other people find us aliens weird because we can so intensely feel their energy. Everyone can feel energy, but galactic beings feel it more than anybody else. And so they can feel that you can feel it, and it makes them uncomfortable. People say, it's kind of like you're like reaching into my soul, and I'm not reading them. Like I specifically asked to never have information about anybody anymore that, that I don't want. Because in the past I used to get bombarded. I'd be sitting in a restaurant and they'd be like, that guy behind there beats his wife. And I'm like, why are you telling me? Like, I can't have this information. What do you want me to do about it? Like, go over there and arrest him? Like, so, so you can ask for the messages to be tapered off. And that was when I was very young, before I kind of learned to control my energy a little bit rather than it controlling me. And the magic can be scary, which is why we turn it off as kids, or especially, if you bringing your kind of magic when you're a kid, your parents are like, whoa, that behavior is just like way out of line, and they squish it down for you. I was born to a very magic family. Both of my parents are both extremely psychic. We never talked about it. I didn't even know this until I was in my 20s that both my parents were psychic, because it was just never talked about. But it does make us weird in social situations because people can feel something different about us. They just don't know what it is. And we end up so alienated. And oftentimes we're like, yeah, I'm a recluse, or I'm an introvert. It's not that you're an introvert. You're an extrovert around other aliens, around the right energy. It's almost like you can let your energy out to play when you're with other galactic beings, and when you're not, you kind of have to squash it in a little bit. So that's why you think you're sometimes an extrovert and sometimes an introvert.
That's right. I think it just it's my hope and dream, and I know it will come to fruition, that we had, the schooling so that it was modelled, and there's more examples of it, in our schools even.
And it's particularly hard for galactic beings born to normies. and some are born to normies specifically because their magic's not supposed to develop till later on, or your connection rather is not supposed to develop until later on. But we just really want you to begin to understand yourself a little bit better and know that there are solutions. There are places where people like us are gathering and we feel normal, and we're tapping into that energy to fulfill what we're here to do on Earth. I mean, like, it sounds grandiose, and I guess it is, right? But we're just accessing energy for our jobs, for our careers, for our businesses, for the things that we're here to do for other people, and it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah. And you've been living under a rock if you don't think that our planet isn't, tittering on the edge of, being sustainable. So it's those of us who have the visions and are action takers, we're the ones that need expansion and enhancing and space to create the new, so that we can be sustainable and still live long and prosperously on this planet.
Hello, you're here with Michelle Clarke and Jacqui O'Connor. We are talking about what it's like to live with galactic connection and galactic energy. Like Jackie's fond of saying, you've been under a rock if you do not realise that the earth is shifted on and that we have different energies available to us. And today we're talking about alcohol, and there's a lot to say about it. There's a lot to say about food and alcohol in general. A lot of human foods and beverages do not work for aliens, which is really interesting. And I only know because I'm now in contact with so many people that have galactic energy, because that's kind of the sphere that I'm working in now. There are certain foods that don't really work for us, but it's probably a topic for another day. Alcohol in particular, galactic beings have a large capacity for alcohol without getting drunk when they're not connected to galactic energy, because we kind of have a slightly different body. the more you turn on or tune into the galactic energy, the less you can tolerate it. Like, it starts physically making you sick, like you just can't cope with it. You can drink less amounts of it, and it doesn't work for us. As galactic beings, we have such a fine little frequency. And here's a fun fact, right? Everyone that's connected to galactic energy has a different frequency. And I always like, when I tap into people's frequency, I like to tell them what crystal it's like so they can really feel what it's like. But the frequency is always so fine and so specific that anything that alters with your frequency, which alcohol does, I mean, it's a poison. Of course it's going to act within your frequency. It muddles you up for so long. It changes your energetics. Like, it can take you a good 10 days for your energetics to unscramble after you've had even one drink. Like, it's so not worth it for me anymore. And I mean, I used to drink quite a lot, but it just doesn't work. What have you got to say about alcohol and drug stacking?
Well, I've given it all a good nudge. And yeah, I mean, my whispers, one of the first thing that shared with me was to stop drinking, and I negotiated. It's the only best I can do. I was like, gin and tonic. And then it's just got to the point now where I actually don't even think about alcohol. I don't even think about it. And we've got a fridge full of beautiful like beverages. And my husband doesn't drink alcohol either. So we still have a, party. No alcohol. Yeah.
Party without alcohol. We do not get into mischief.
Yeah, I'll still get into lots of mischief. Definitely do that.
If you're wondering why, like, after, even just having one drink and you're like, what is this? Like, I can totally have one drink. What is wrong with it? It's because you're connected to your galactic energy. It's because your galactic energy connection is getting stronger. And if it's getting stronger, then you probably need to come and hang out with the rest of us and our soul family so that we can expand our energy together.
Welcome back. You've got Jacqui, me, and Michelle from Empowerment Empires, and we're still talking about our galactic energy. How cool is that? And we're going to talk a little bit about environment. And so I'm going to start into this, and it's always really interesting when you talk to people who they've been on holiday and they've been camping, they've been at the beach, and they feel really good. And then they kind of go back to the city and back into the hamster wheel, I call it. And, really within that first day, they're like back to normal. It's almost kind of like a conditioning, sort of like, oh, it's okay to be on holiday. And then I've got to go back and suffer and struggle. And so now I often question people, and I just say, wouldn't you like to live? Like, live on holiday, live where it's holiday, like live where you, and then I get this with a lot of parents as well, like, oh, the kids are really good when they're motocross biking up north by the surf, by the ocean, when we're at, surf club and all this. I'm like, what about if you did more of it? And so it's a real, like, they all kind of, oh, good point. That's a really good point. And I know for me and my family that we did that 14 months ago. We got off the hamster wheel, and I just feel like I live on holiday. And we're by the ocean, we're by the forest. We live on a rural property, so it's not hard to actually access the medicine. And my medicine is salt water, so I'm in the salt water every day, and we've got a saltwater pool as well. And yeah, it's literally a medicine, and we're the only part of nature, human beings, the only part of nature that actually don't follow the, as a norm, follow the actual cycles of nature.
And it's a whole energy thing. So those of us that are galactically connected, it's a whole energy thing. Like we've already said before, we feel energy so intensely that when you're not in an environment that matches your energy, just like when you walk into a room and you're like, oh my God, this place is not for me, you can feel the energy. It's the same when you walk into somebody's house. Like if someone's having a crisis and you walk into their house, you're going to be like, woof. like hit with the energy. But same in nature, like sometimes I can go, you know, to a beautiful forest and my heart's singing, my little forest fairy inside me skipping around, and it elevates our energy. It almost cleans us out. Like we don't do enough that actually empties out our energy. As galactic beings, we're like sponges, so we actually need to get that energy out. But equally, I can go to a bit of land that has been traumatized and I feel the trauma. And I'm often asked to transmute that trauma for them as well. So just because it's nature doesn't necessarily it's going to be better than inside. It's literally all about the energy. It's about your energy. Like you really need to connect to nature and to water, because those things are an expander of energy. So our energy gets small as it gets sucked out and taken away by people that are kind of chipping away at us, and nature kind of expands it. So it's really important for us to get that expansion.
I just had this cool, I just wanted to share this cool thing. So when I'm in nature, that's where I get a lot of downloads. And like one that I get a lot of is because we no longer excrete into the earth. So no longer, you know, leave our like our menstrual blood or excrement into the earth. Then our earth and plants don't know what minerals and vitamins that we need. And so so there is this kind of disconnect as well, because we're not communicating. We're not doing the communication that we once did. Yeah.